Casper Sen from somewhere says, how can I have an American accent? I would encourage you to sit down and think about a couple things. First, what exactly is your goal, your pronunciation goal? What exactly is it? Because sounding like an American is not just pronunciation. It's also the way that words are used, how words are chosen, the references. So if someone were to have an American accent or sound very American, but then didn't know a lot of the cultural references and idioms, it would be quite strange. It would be strange to have a very American-sounding accent like me, but not know the deeper things. So the deeper things would be getting closer to fluency in general, and that is not just pronunciation. What that means is you can't have just the icing on the cake. You've got to have the cake too. If it's just the icing on the cake, then it's just going to be a bunch of icing or frosting kind of glopped on the plate, and there's no cake. So it doesn't quite look right. It's just a bunch of icing. It's sweet, but I want the whole cake. So in order to sound native, it's not just about pronunciation. It's much more. It's much deeper. It involves culture. It involves the structures of the language, the natural usage of grammar. It's this huge thing, the cake. And then on top of the cake is the icing. And that might be, oh, you have a kind of a California accent, or, oh, you sound like you're from the East Coast. You sound like you're from the Midwest. Because, by the way, there is no American accent. There are many different American accents. So you have to ask yourself, what is my goal? Because if you just want the American accent and those things are not there, those other things are not there, it's going to be very weird. It's going to sound very weird. It's going to be like having a big pile of icing on a plate. It's going to look a little bit strange. So, if that's what you want, then you have to go all the way and you have to completely immerse yourself. You have to master the language fully from every angle. Okay? And even then, for most people who do that, there's still a bit of the accent remaining. And I would say, who cares? I mean, I don't think that that's an issue. There's this middle place between, oh, you have a very strong accent, and, oh, you sound exactly like an American. Oh, wait a second. Maybe not quite, because you sound like an American for a second, and then you say something that's kind of weird. So I'm a little confused, because maybe the cultural stuff is not there. So there's this middle place where someone is pretty good at the language and has eliminated some of those specific markers that tell people, oh, very strong accent from this place. Okay? So if someone, I'll just give you an example. If someone goes to another country from the United States to teach English, and they have a strong accent, and I say strong because people have a different idea about that, and they have a strong accent, the school where they go to teach might say, hey, do you think maybe you could cut down the accent a little bit? What is that exactly? What are you talking about? Cut down. This is how I talk. I talk like this. I'm here to teach English. This is my language. What are you talking about? Okay. So you've got a very strong twang or southern accent. The fact is, most people would identify that as a strong accent. And there are some things there because it's so localized, which makes it so local that other people don't want to learn from that. So then you have to kind of internationalize it. You have to make it more gentle. You have to remove some of those things which mark it as very local. And I give you the example of someone, for example, with a very strong Texan accent, because it's not just about other people learning English, non-native English speakers, and reducing accent. Also, if I want to be, for example, an English teacher, I may have to do some things to change my way of speaking a little bit so that I sound a little bit more, for lack of a better way to say it, international. Neutral may be a good word as well. Neutral. And it would be the same for someone with a strong accent from the UK. And English teachers will tell you this. They'll say, oh yeah, I had to change a couple of things to be more neutral, more international, whatever that is. I don't even know exactly what that is. But I know what you can do to improve it. What you can do to improve it is identify the things in your own accent or your own way of speaking, your own dialect, which mark it as strong. When people hear it, they go, what? That's very strong. What is that? Right? And the reason that I would like to know where you come from is that that's different for different languages. There isn't only one. So if you're a Japanese speaker, that might have something to do with your use of R, right? Most Japanese speakers struggle to say the word R in the way that most native English speakers say the word R. And it sounds more like a or something like that, which sounds kind of like a D or something. Not quite a D, but almost a D. Okay, well, if your first language is Hindi, okay, well, that's another set of things. And there are some things that mark it clearly as, oh, Indian accent, Chinese, Zais, Zait, very strong. Oh, what's that? Right? So I'm not only saying non-native English speakers, everybody. If we want to move toward neutral, which, by the way, I think is a better goal, if we want to move toward neutral or international, what we have to do is first identify what it is about our own accent that prevents us from getting closer to that, and then develop a self-awareness so that you can hear when you do it, and then you can start to make some changes so that you can reduce those things and get closer to that more neutral sound. And again, if you want to sound exactly like an American, you have a lot of work to do, and it's not just pronunciation. So I hope I've answered your question. I know that's kind of a long way to say it, but that is, I think, the answer. And I hope that's not bad news. I hope it's good news. If you haven't already, guys, don't forget to subscribe. That really helps the channel. If you like the video, hit the like button, of course. And don't forget to check out my full courses in the links in the description.